Evening, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Evermore, your Newcastle United podcast, live exclusively on the Slide Rule Pass YouTube channel. I'm James, I'll be your host. Unfortunately, Chris is unwell tonight, so he's sitting this one out. Get well soon, mate, if you're watching. Tonight, I've got Mark, Dan, and Paul with me. How we all do, lads? You well?
Yeah, good, thank you, man.
Good stuff, good stuff. Just to remind everyone, as always, we're live on YouTube, so any comments, any questions you have, get them in and we'll do our best to answer them. And if you like what we do, then please like and subscribe to the channel. It does really help us out a lot. Right, let's get straight into it then. Plenty to get through tonight, lads. 2 games since last week's show. A 2-1 win down at Southampton and, of course, the very controversial 1-0 defeat at Stamford Bridge on Sunday. Just want to talk very briefly about the Southampton game first. I was very confident we were going to win this one. I did predict a 2-1 win with a goal for Bruno, so that was great to see come in. Paul, I think you said on last week's show this game would be a good barometer of how far we've come as a team. I think you predicted a draw. What were your thoughts on the Southampton game, mate?
I thought we were very good. I don't think we played the best that we've had under Eddie Howe, but we went one down again and getting that equaliser just before half time, and then we just pressed on from there, and we never really again looked under massive amounts of danger. So he's got them set up really well. He's got them defending well. He's got them breaking with pace, and we were good. And I was absolutely delighted that Chris Wood got on the score sheet because he's had a bit of a raw deal from some parts of the fan base so far. So I'm absolutely delighted. And that was an absolute worldie from Guimaraes. Best debut goal probably since Hatton Ben Arthur's belter at Goodison Park. Funnily enough, which I should have linked that for later on, shouldn't I?
I'd argue Papa Cisse's against Aston Villa was pretty good as well.
Fair enough.
You can do an easy top 3 there, couldn't you? Easy top 3. I'm with you, Paul. I think that Bruno goal was the best debut goal I've seen. But no, sorry, mate. Go on.
It was phenomenal. I mean, I think the ball came out. Obviously, Chris Wood. Ralph had his moan, didn't he, about players signing and being able to play, etc., which was, as we know, just a lot of shite altogether. So Chris Wood to get the goal, Dan Burn to get an assist, and Bruno to get the winner would just shut him up. He would have been gutted. So it was good to see.
Yeah, it was a great win, wasn't it? And very good team, Southampton. They've been good this season. But I got some comments coming in there. I think Jack had one up before. Get well soon, Chris. Even though, we echo that, Jack. Thanks very much for that. Dan, I'm going to come to you, mate. Quick summary on Southampton. What were your thoughts?
Like you, James, I actually was quite confident. I mean, a little bit of that was sapped when obviously Southampton took the lead, but such has been this revival under Eddie Howe. We've always carried a bit of a threat now, haven't we, in terms of going forward, and so I always thought that we'd still get something out of the game, even when we went 1 down. And we didn't take long to get on level terms, did we? I mean, it was, 9 minutes, if that, I think, before Chris Wood got his bonce on that lovely John Joe Shelby cross. And from then, we never looked back. I mean, even when Guimaraes scored that second, minutes later, we nearly got a third through Matt Target and a bit of a goal-mouth scramble as well. So, yeah, just carrying on that unbeaten run. Of course, it's come to an end now, but 3,300 or whatever it was, Geordies and Southampton on a Thursday night, seeing a win like that, it doesn't get much better, does it? Just a really, really, I mean, Paul's right, not the best performance, but just a really collective team performance once again to get the 3 points and push us ever closer to that safety. I mean, to be honest, I'd argue we're pretty much safe. I'd say we need 2 more wins. To be honest, we're on 31 points. If we get to 34 with 1 more, then 37. I think that's enough. In terms
3 points for me. I think 34 will be enough this season.
Fair. I'll stay safe with 2 more wins, just in case. But yeah, I think we're pretty much there anyway. And I think there's a lot of fixtures that we can get them from as well. So I'm not concerned at all. But Southampton was really, really good. Obviously, delighted for Chris Wood. I was over the moon when he got his first goal. And of course, that sumptuous goal from Bruno Guimaraes. Oh, I have watched it on repeat about 262 times.
Brilliant. Love it, mate. Love it. A couple of other comments coming in here. One from Chris there, our good friend Chris. Even boys from Quarantine Corner, the new host is better looking than the one there. Wow, far too kind, mate. You're far too kind. Well, those big shoes
come a long way these days, hasn't it?
You cheeky bugger. I've got big shoes to fill tonight, mate. So I hope I can do a decent job in your absence. My good friend Mark there in the comments. Nice to see you, mate. Evening, lads. Hope you're all well. Shite result, but a good performance on Sunday. Fully agree. Yeah, we're going to come on to Chelsea in a bit. But Mark, I'll just ask your quick thoughts on the Southampton game, mate. Did you watch it? What did you think?
I caught up with it. Obviously, we were playing as well, so it was coming on afterwards. But I was trying to keep up to date with both of them, doing my normal split screen sort of thing. So yeah, I think it was great to see Chris Wood score. He's taken a little bit of flack. I thought he has deserved more credit than I think some have given him for his performances. But it was nice to see him, put one in. The finish from Guimaraes was just ridiculous. It's that little bit of out of the box thinking from somebody that I just think that maybe the side's probably lacked for quite a long time. It's that little bit of you just don't know what's coming, and that was it was perfect. And Paul said before, the fact that it was a Burn goal not a Burn goal, a Wood goal, and then a Burn assist for a Guimaraes goal was just perfect to piss Ralph Hasenhüttl off, because his comments leading up were just sour. And you touched on, James, they've been very, very good this season. They were awful against Villa the weekend before. They did look slightly better, but again, the resilience of this Newcastle side, it's grown in the last 10, 11 games. It's just been phenomenal, and I think I was confident that they were going to get a result. I think I probably had a score draw down, but yeah, I thought they were very, very good and deservedly won.
Yeah, I think their key players just didn't turn up on the night, did they? I thought Brozier had a poor game. I thought he's been one of the best young players this season, but didn't do anything against our defence. And I thought James Ward-Prowse equally was very quiet. Thankfully for us, it worked out in our favour. But look, moving on to Chelsea, I imagine we've got a little bit more to say on this one. I was fuming on Sunday, and I'm still feeling aggrieved about the whole thing now, to be honest, a few days later. I think we've got a video to put up on this showing some of the farcical decisions or lack of them.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm sorry, it's clear as day that is a red card offence. And then this one, you got one foul, two foul, and then the third foul. None are given. It was an absolute farce. The
corner, eh?
Yeah, and then it goes, if you're going to give anything from the referee, it's a goal kick, and he gives the wrong decision there. It was ridiculous.
I mean, you look at them, two clear incidents in the game. I've got to be honest, anyone with a pair of eyes would have given them, as you say, Martin. And for some unknown reason, David Coote, look, firstly, fails to give a red card, a clear red card, in my opinion, which was assault on Dan Burn. And then how he's not given that penalty, which we've just brought up there on Jacob Murphy, I'll never know. But what infuriates me even further is why VAR didn't intervene in any of these. I mean, if they aren't clear and obvious errors, then we might as well just give up. And look, to make matters worse, Kai Havertz, who should have been sent off, then goes on to score the winning goal.
Yeah. Isn't that all his way?
It's horrible, mate. But Paul, I'll come to you first, mate, on this. What did you make of those two key decisions? What did you think?
I think both decisions were shockers, to be honest. You said you were gutted at the end of that game. I actually wasn't gutted because I thought we put up a tremendous performance. They didn't get their first shot on target, and both shots on target that they had were Kai Havertz. They didn't have a shot on target till the 75th, 76th minute, which he probably should have scored, but Dubravka saved it. But I mean, Alan Shearer tweeted it straight away. That's a red card. Yes, you know, to get some height, you've got to leverage yourself by using your arms. But he led with his elbow and his forearm effectively. So there's no doubt in my mind that that's a red card. Dermot Gallagher on Ref Watch, which I didn't see, which must have been on Monday morning, apparently said he wasn't sure whether it was a red card or not, or it wasn't a red, or it wasn't a clear and obvious error by the referee, which means VAR couldn't intervene on it, which I don't know. VAR's got a lot to be answered for, I think, or the people that officiate it have. And the penalty was an absolute stonewall penalty. He had his shirt, then he had a shirt again, then he nudged him over, and then he put his leg out. It's just a penalty. You know, nothing saying we're going to win that game if we score. That might have kicked Chelsea into gear, who knows? But from the performance perspective, it was very good. You know, we had Willock ill, Shelvey ill, Joe Linton with a slight knock. So he decided, he brought obviously Longstaff in, who hadn't had 90 minutes for a while, and I thought he did really well. But he's just very clever tactically. He went 3 at the back, didn't he? And whereas his predecessor, Steve Bruce, would have gone 3 at the back, we'd have got hammered in that game 4 or 5-0, regardless. It was just a very clever way of stifling them, but stifling them and attacking with some intent. He rested Fraser, didn't he, with a slight hamstring as well. So he had 4 or 5 changes in that team, a change in formation, and they each knew their job and they each knew what they were doing. And I thought we were very unlucky. But at the end of it, I was like, yeah, I'm a bit gutted. And yes, we were robbed. But I thought we played very well. And, to lose our first game in 10 was, I think, nothing to be embarrassed about by any means. And it really talked about a barometer at Southampton. Again, that was a barometer as to where we are now. We are probably a top 9 or 10 side as it stands. I mean, we're second in the form table, but probably top. If we're playing like that all season, we are 8th, 9th, or 10th by the end of the season comfortably. That's how much improved we are as a side.
Fully agree with all of that, mate. We've got some good comments coming in here. Do you want to stick them up there from Chris? Even Stevie Wonder could have seen those disgracefully. Absolutely. Another one as well from, I think Mark said, Havertz shouldn't have been on the pitch. Disgusting decision, that real kick in the teeth when he scored. Another one from Mike. Again, why didn't VAR intervene in the penalty decision by asking the ref take a look at the screen? Fully agree, and good to have you on board, Mike. But it's got to be said, going back to these decisions, that this isn't the first time we've been hard done by this season with refereeing decisions. I mean, I can think of several games off the top of my head. The Man City home game, we should have had a clear penalty. The Liverpool away game at Anfield, where 2 decisions didn't go in our favour that game. But if you look at David Coote and going back to him, I don't know if you remember, but he was responsible for not sending Emi Martinez off in the game against Villa back in August. And we had a chat about this before the show started. That was a clear red card on Callum Wilson. I mean, he nearly decapitated him at head height and didn't give anything. I think he only booked him. Again, he also never gave a red card to Robert Sanchez when Wilson again was on through against Brighton on through and goal in November. Thankfully, that was overturned by VAR, but it just seems that this bloke has got it in for us. And personally, look, I wouldn't want to see him referee in another game for Newcastle again this season. But look, as Mark, as a Villa fan, as a neutral, what did you think of those decisions?
Unbelievably bad. I mean, we've seen some shockers. You've listed some there. I go on. You've got the Maddison dive against Leicester to add into the mix. There are plenty, and there's plenty across the league. You're right. I think the Emi Martinez one was, I mean, that was a red card. I think he got away with it because I think they gave Wilson as offside. So the Pickford one on Van Dijk, it's then not seen as a red card offence.
If I could interrupt on there, I think they changed the rules, didn't they? Even if the whistle goes for offside or for a previous foul, if there is then dangerous play afterwards, I think you can retrospectively still send them off. So he probably should have gone, but.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's like the Sanchez on Diaz one at the weekend. He's completely wiped him out at head height, and it's a shocker. The elbow, I mean, what was it? Havertz came out and said, Dan Burns, or the lad's 7-8 foot tall. There's 4 inches between them. Kai Havertz is 6'3". It's not like he's a midget. He's not Ryan Fraser or Alan Wright, if you want to go back into the 90s for short players. He's going to have to put his arms up to battle, but that is an elbow in the face that is dangerous, and that should have been a red card. The penalty was just horrific for it as a decision. Fair enough if the referee doesn't have a clear view of it, but VAR should be intervening. VAR should be getting involved and saying, look, there are fouls there, because you can't watching that video again. There's 3. There's the initial one where he pulls him back. Then there's a loosening. Then he pulls him again, and then he trips him up. So you could have given a penalty for any one of those 3 parts of that whole process. And it's indicative of the way that VAR is used in this country. It's shocking. The people that are using it, and that's the thing, it's not the system that's broken. It's the people that are using it just aren't good enough to do the jobs.
System works very well. You've just got to look
Yeah.
at Euro 2020. VAR was really good. It's the absolute muppets who are running it from Premier League, or the referees effectively, aren't they?
Yeah.
They're just bloody hopeless.
And what I suppose you've got to go, what hope do we have when the guy who's the head of the PGMOL is Mike Riley? And that says it all. The guy who famously refereed the end of the Arsenal Invincibles, that game at Old Trafford, which was brutal. I mean, there were red card fouls throughout that game. There were at least 3 or 4 players should have had 2 yellows. Didn't give any of them until late on. And that's the standard of referee that we've got at the head of that, and it's just that says it all.
It's worrying times, lads, isn't it? But I've got a few more comments coming in here. We've got one from Dan. The big clubs always get all the decisions, so give it a few seasons and it will be everyone else complaining about the tune.
Let's hope so, eh?
Let's hope so, Dan, mate. Thanks very much for tuning in. Another one from Chris. Very childish comments from Habits, showing a further lack of class from that club, make them hitchhike to Borough. Yeah, I mean, we're not even going to get into that whole ridiculous situation that happened with the FA Cup tickets and what have you. That's probably one for another show. But Chelsea have done nothing to put themselves in any glory this week. But yeah, another one from Jack. The penalty decision was almost as controversial as the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix last season. That's probably one for Dan and Mark there. I know you used to be a big Formula One fans, but yeah, Dan, just to bring you in, mate. Look, I thought we played very well on Sunday. It was a slightly surprising formation Eddie Howe went with, considering he's always gone with the 4-3-3 since joining the club. But I did think that the 5 at the back worked very well. And as Paul said, we were very much the better team for large periods of the game. Look, decisions aside, Dan, what did you think of the performance?
Well, obviously, we have played 4 in the back for a while under Eddie Howe pretty much since he's come in. But under Chelsea, he has actually had some pretty successful games in the past for Bournemouth and has played that formation against them. And I think it clearly works against Chelsea. And it pretty much did again on Sunday. You could tell why he did it. You're right. We did play well for large parts of the game. We had chances, of course. The decisions aside, we were in the game constantly. We didn't look as though we were a side who were God knows how many points and places between Chelsea. Like we went toe to toe with them and actually, came out just as better. And obviously, as we've all said, the one person who would score would be the one person who shouldn't have been on the pitch. But we'll stay away from the decisions because we've mentioned them to death already. And to be fair, I was absolutely furious after that game. I just didn't want to. I was in the state where I didn't like football anymore for about 5 minutes, and then suddenly I was like, oh, I don't mind it again. But yeah, no,
you've been in hiding, mate, since that game. Is that you've been that upset?
Yeah, that's the effect it had on me, James. Literally, I was ready to I was so angry after that. It was unbelievable. But it just shows to me how far we have come. That we are absolutely furious after a game against what is essentially the best footballing club in the world, according to if you count the fact that they've won the Club World Cup and Europe as well last season. And we've come out that game absolutely furious that we've not got something because of a refereeing decision, not because of something we've done, but because of refereeing decisions. And so that is a testament to Eddie Howe. It's a testament, obviously, to the new signings that have come in, but also to the players who, at the start of the season, were not performing. Because, of course, a lot of the players who have come in, a few of them weren't playing on Sunday. We've missed Kieran Trippier for a little while now. Obviously, Bruno Guimaraes came in as well, but yeah, it's for me, it's more the players who were terrible at the start of the season and who Eddie Howe's managed to turn around. Your likes of Sean Longstaff, who came in and did really well. Jacob Murphy, I thought, had a good game. Obviously, the penalty as well. Nothing he can do there. Miguel Almiron, I thought, did all right. He ran his socks off, and to be fair, actually was probably more effective than saint-maximin when he came on. I don't think he did much, Maximin, when he came on. I think he just looked a bit disinterested. Whether he was still carrying that knock, who knows? But of course, at the back, Shaw, steady. Even Lascelles did all right. And of course, the new boys of Dan Burn and Matt Targett. There was another refereeing decision that I want to mention. I think it was in the first half, and Matt Targett won the ball quite cleanly. I think it was on Ziyech, and somehow was penalised for it. And I think that just set the tone for the rest of the game, because I thought, how can he give that? And then, of course, he's gone on to give these are the ridiculous decisions. But we can hold our heads high, and we go into Everton tomorrow night still full of confidence, in my opinion. I think they'll take a lot of confidence from that, albeit defeat against Chelsea. And I think if a few more players are fit, Joe Willock apparently is over his illness. Whether Joe Linton is fit, we're not entirely sure yet. And same with John Joe Shelby. But if Joe Linton gets back in, if Joe Willock gets back in, I think we could. And if Fraser's all right as well, I think we can do a real job on Everton tomorrow night. And I really hope.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, we've got that to talk about as the last topic in terms of team news and what have you as well. So just stay tuned for that. But Dan, you mentioned Eddie Howe there. Testament to what he's been doing. That's a nice segue into the next topic. The manager of the month award.
We planned this.
It is, mate. The manager of the month, he's just won for February. 3 wins against Everton, Villa, and Brentford, and a draw away at West Ham. Thoroughly deserved, in my opinion. I mean, the transformation of this team under him has been phenomenal. Look, I'll be honest, that I wasn't too excited when he was appointed. I thought we should have offered the job to Steven Gerrard. And look, it's got to be said, he did have a few difficult results at the start. I remember the Cambridge game being a very low point. But look, since then, everything has just clicked into place. And before the Chelsea game, we were unbeaten in 9. And right now, the way things are going, you'd have to say he's possibly in with a shout for manager of the season. So, Dan, I'm going to come back to you first on this one. You were talking about Eddie Howe before. How highly do you rate this man? And I know you are one of the youngest of the panel. Do you think he's one of the best managers you've seen in your lifetime as a Newcastle fan?
Well, I mean, there's not many to choose from, is there? Let's be real.
There isn't.
There is when you get to my age.
I mean, from my lifetime, I mean, if you could count Sir Bobby Robson because I was alive, but just toddler, so unaware. But sorry, Paul. Sorry.
Paul is just crying into his glass.
I know. I mean, obviously, to be fair, we're only a few months into Eddie Howe's reign, so perhaps it is too early to judge. But so far, you've got to give him credit. I mean, he's come into this club, and as you say, had a difficult start because things didn't go our way straight away under him. You could see there was improvement. You could see there was signs that they were getting fitter. The players looked as if they knew what they were doing a bit more. But obviously, that Cambridge in the FA Cup was horrible. The Norwich game when Kieran Clark gets himself sent off far too early on in the game, and a couple of other. There was the Leicester game as well. That was a bit of a hammering. But apart from these, and since then, it's been absolutely brilliant. The players look fitter, which is something that they didn't have a proper pre-season. I think we can all agree on at the start of the season. So for large parts of the early part of the campaign, after 60, 70 minutes, they'd be absolutely exhausted, and you could tell that other teams would just suddenly start kicking in and take the advantage and the initiative. And yeah, as just the difference in Newcastle from say September, October to now is so stark. And the fact that a lot of it is the same players, you just would never think it as well. I mean, I'm not sure if that's a compliment, Chris, to be honest, but I'll take it. But yeah, no, massive credit to him. Considering this is a team we hadn't won until, December, when we beat Burnley. I don't think any team had gone so long and stayed up in the league season. So that tells you everything you need to know. The fact that we went 9 unbeaten until Sunday, that tells you everything you need to know. So I think he is within a shout of manager of the month, depending on of the season, depending on how high we finish. And hopefully, with a bit of more money spent in the summer, next season could be really quite fruitful if we continue to play the way we're playing. And I don't see why we wouldn't, because clearly he has a good relationship with a lot of the players now. I do expect quite a few outgoings. Some of the Deadwood, some of the Jeff Hendricks, the Kieran Clarks, they probably will be leaving the club, perhaps other goalkeepers as well. But I just think he's a young manager with lots of new exciting ideas. He's tactically aware, which can't really be said for the previous manager. So I'm very happy with him. In terms of where he ranks amongst other managers I've seen in my lifetime, obviously, Rafa Benitez, different manager, but again, very tactically aware, but completely different style of playing football. You have to look at Alan Pardew for a little bit. I mean, he had that brilliant season in 11-12 when we finished 5th, and credit to him. I mean, obviously, he had a really good team. And then you look at probably Glenn Roeder for a bit as well. But apart from that, Eddie, to be fair, it's not.
I think he's got to be in the conversation. He's got to be in the conversation,
Just
hasn't he?
already
Certainly, even though it's been a short time he's been there. But if he can keep up what he's doing, I mean, you would have to say he probably eclipsed Rafa Benitez, what he achieved, as you rightly say, 2 different managers though. But Mark, I'll come on to you, mate. As a neutral, what do you think about the job he's done at this football club so far?
It's been such a turnaround, hasn't it? When you look at, I mean, even the very beginning, we talked about this really early on and said, look, the difference in just application from the players, the difference in fitness levels was there to be seen early days. And yes, they struggled at the start, but then you've got to take into account with that some of the teams that they actually played in those first few games. You know, you were playing City, Liverpool, Leicester, Arsenal.
Chelsea.
They were always going to be difficult games, and especially at that point, especially in the transition. The difference now, I mean, you look at all of those games and the drop off of fitness just isn't there anymore. Under Bruce, you got to 60 minutes and those players were absolutely shattered. We saw that in the Chelsea game early in the season. They played okay for 60 minutes and then they just ran out of steam. This week, it didn't happen. They were going right to the last, and it's been the same now for 10, 11 weeks. And you've seen that come in the performance. All of a sudden, the fitness is there. The touch is better. They're getting themselves in better positions. They're able to get up and down on the field. The ball's going in the back of the net, and they're keeping it out at the back as well. So all of those things. We've got the comment in there from Jack about, you know, Howe and his backroom staff deserve all the recognition they're getting. Absolutely right. They do. They need huge amounts of credit for what they've done to turn around that group of players. And they were doing it before the new guys had come in. It's not just about the money that was spent in January, because you're getting performances out of all those players that they couldn't get a tune out of before, because now they're invested, they are fitter, they're hungrier, they know what they're doing. And that's always been a thing sort of thrown at Steve Bruce, is that no player really understood what it was that he actually wanted out of them. It was just go and play football. Now they've got a plan.
Yeah, absolutely. And that comment from Jack there, it wasn't too long ago when fans were calling for his head. I mean, my word. I mean, it's crazy to think that now. That just seems like a lifetime ago when that was happening. I mean, I was, again, very sceptical after the Cambridge game. I think a lot of fans were, but he's improved dramatically in that period of time. But Paul, I'm going to come to you on this. How far can he take this Newcastle team? And do you see him winning a trophy with us?
Wow, you know what I mean? So initially, I thought that Howe would come in for maybe 2 years, stabilise the ship, hopefully try and keep us up. And then we would sort of do that Man City where they'd have the first manager to take us as far as we could under him and then go on and get somebody better. But you know what? I would love him to be successful with us and love him to be here long term. He's grown on me hugely. I was a bit skeptical, you know, all the names that were being bandied about. All the interviews that we're doing, you know, one night we thought Unai Emery was coming, and then he shit himself and bottled it. Let's be honest. And the way that Howe came in, and I thought, yes, we started slowly, but as Mark nailed it and stole my thunder, they were blowing out their arse after 60 minutes every game. They were unfit. They were training 3 days a week under Bruce, and it's taken time, hasn't it? It's taken time for them to understand Howe's methodology, his coach's methodology, and to get fit. You look at the likes of Shelby, who I think most fans would probably have driven him wherever he was going to go in January. He's come on leaps and bounds because he's fitter. He's no longer running through treacle in that midfield when he's playing. He's just much fitter. How far can he take us? I think we're certainly staying up this season. The summer's going to be fun. It'll be a fun transfer window. We will go for players. We will bid for players that we've got no chance of getting. Players like Haaland. Just watch. I think they now can see the potential. The owners can see the potential that this club's got. You know, I think they knew the fans were incredible. They knew the ground was incredible. But I don't think it's. I think it's more incredible than they initially thought. So I think they're going to try and stick their foot down and accelerate what their plans were. So can they win a trophy with him? Why not? Why not? Not with this current squad of players. They can win games and they can go toe to toe, but over 38 games, probably not. But with the players that they will likely bring in, I think they'll replace players like, this is one for May's addition, I suppose. Players like Wilson, they'll be replaced with better. Players like Murphy, like Fraser, like Longstaff, probably like Shelby, they'll all be replaced. They'll be replaced with better players. So can we win a trophy under Eddie Howe? Absolutely. Will we?
Good stuff.
It's Newcastle United. We're probably getting knocked out in the third round again, Can we though? Absolutely. Yeah, I've got a lot of faith in him. I thought tactically against Chelsea, to see that we had the injuries and just to say, right, sorry, we're going to go 3 at the back was tactically very, very clever, because he just doesn't play that formation. Very clever. And he's I'm not that boring, am I? And he's
well, it's just disappeared there. I don't know where, but he's back.
He's back. I would like to see him go all the way with Newcastle, stay with us a long term, because he's a likable guy who lives and breathes it.
Fully agree, Paul. I think he could be here for a long, long time, and I do believe he will win a trophy with us. We've got a great comment there from Mike. Howe is the best manager since Joe Harvey, Kevin Keegan, and Bobby Robson. Wow, that is one hell of a compliment. He's in with some esteemed company there with those names, Mike. So I think Paul, you were talking about some of the bids that we potentially could be making in the summer, someone like the likes of the Erling Haaland. I mean, we're probably getting a little bit too ahead of ourselves there, but this does bring us on nicely to transfer rumours. And yes, it is only March, but when you are the richest club in the world, you are linked with players on a daily basis, which is what we seem to be at the moment. But the recent player to be linked with us is Marcus Rashford. I think we've got a slide to pull up of him there. We'll just pop that one on screen. Interesting one, this for me. Personally, I think he's been poor for 18 months now. I don't think he's done anything of note at Man United recently. It looks like he's going to be dropped from the upcoming England squad for the friendlies against Switzerland and Ivory Coast. And he's a player who right now is completely lacking in any form of confidence. But saying that, we all know how much talent he does have. He's still very young. I think he's only 24. He scored 50-plus goals already in the Premier League and has done it at the highest level. And who knows, maybe he is looking for a new challenge. Mark, I'm going to come to you first. Do you see this one happening?
It's an interesting one, isn't it? He's a funny player for me. I think you are bang on. I think he has been out of form for a year or so now. And people said as well, it's just this season. He was dropping towards the end of last season, and I think has dropped away. I don't know what it is with him. I think there is. I know people have labelled it about the campaigns and things that he's been involved in. I don't think it's that. I think there is something else going on. I think he focuses in his head. I think that's possibly one of the things he's just struggling with. A change might do him some good. And it's one of those odd transfers that might just come off. I would be surprised. I think he will stay at Man U. But it's one of those where he could just be one of those shock transfers that does come off and he just gives a little
Sorry,
bit
Mark, mate. I think there's just a little bit of feedback coming from your mic. Could you just mute it a second, mate, if you don't mind? There's just a little bit of a... Yeah, sorry about that. I think there was just a bit of a background noise coming from...
it's my cat. So apologies for that. My cat decided to come in and use the litter tray. So that, yeah.
Never mind. It was just a bit
of
feedback, I think, there, but
so yeah,
never mind. It's all right, mate. Paul, I'll come to you. mate. What do you think of Rashford, and would you like to see us put in an offer for him in the summer?
Absolutely love to sign somebody like Rashford. I think he's a cut above anything that we've got. Yes, his form's gone. It's because his confidence has dipped. Confidence has dipped massively, hasn't it? And as we know from a lot of Newcastle footballers, confidence is everything. Every footballer in the Premier League has got the ability to be top class. Do they show it? Not all the time. Why don't they show it? Because either they're playing in a formation that doesn't suit them, or they're in and out of a team, or they're not fit. We know that. Or they've just got no confidence. And I just think he's massively lacking in confidence. Rangnick, is that how you pronounce it? Sorry. We were heavily linked with him for the director of football. it's football as a whole is bloody awful to watch, right? It's dull, it's boring, it's a bit defensive, and that doesn't really suit somebody like Rashford. So Rashford's probably sitting there thinking, Jesus Christ, I just can't get a game in this team. Alanga's now getting in ahead of him. Jaden, 75 million quid. I do far too much with the ball every time I get it. Sancho is getting a game ahead of him. Mason Greenwood was getting a game ahead of him at one stage, wasn't it? So you're not getting enough games to fire on all cylinders to get the confidence that he needs. Maybe he needs a move. Maybe the manager in the summer, whoever that might be that come in, don't fancy him. Would I like to see him in my team? Absolutely. 24, yeah, he's going to be expensive, but I don't care. It's not my money. We've got the money, haven't we, these days? I'd love, he's a full England international, let's be honest. And he's a starting England international when he's firing. So that's a roundabout way of saying yes, please.
Good stuff. Good comment from Jack there. Imagine what Eddie can do with Rashford. He'd done it with John Joe, Joe Linton, etc. So why not Marcus? Yeah, absolutely, fully agree with that. Another one from Mike. He would be a big gamble as he is more interested in his charitable way. That's a little bit harsh, but fair point. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion. Dan, I am going to come to you, mate. How about you? What's your thoughts on Marcus Rashford? Would you like to see him in a Newcastle shirt?
I mean, I remember when Marcus Rashford burst onto the scene at Man United, and of course he was scoring on his debut in every single competition, whether it be Premier League or Europa League or FA Cup or for his England debut as well. He's a good player, there's no doubt about it. He can score goals, but his form has gone. But having said that, if Eddie Howe can make John Joe Shelby not run through treacle, as Paul said before, I honestly can see him turning around someone like Marcus Rashford. I don't see why he wouldn't. Rashford has ability. We all know, as he has proved in previous seasons, he has the goal-scoring touch. He has that knack that can't be taught of just being in the right place at the right time and scoring goals. And some really good goals as well. Obviously, as I mentioned, his form is gone, but I'd love him in someone like Marcus Rashford at Newcastle. I mean, I just like the idea of signing another England international, to be honest, from a big club. We've done it once with Trippier. I've got the bug now. I would like another one. But he is a cut above when he's on his game. There's no doubt about it. He will score goals if Eddie Howe can get him played. And so if that's the case, we've got the money, as Paul says. Let's just go and get him. Why not? That's weaken a title rival, perhaps, or a European rival.
Love the positivity, Dan. Brilliant.
Exactly.
Mate.
Come on. Got to be a bit positive at times, but yeah.
Look at the Villa fans saying these fucking deluded idiots.
Well, no, Chris has come up there. Brilliant comment there. Rashford in the front three with, say, Wilson and ASM would be pretty unreal. Yeah, I mean, that's as long as Wilson can stay fit. I think it's an interesting one, Rashford. I think he's got 18 months left on his contract. Come the summer, that'll be 12 months left. I do believe the club have a right to extend that another year on top. So it could be 2 years, depending on what happens with the new manager. Obviously, Man United will have a new manager in the summer. Whether or not that will be Mauricio Pochettino, Zidane, Ten Hag, whoever it might be, depending on how much they factor into Rashford's game time in their plans. But I think, yeah, look, if we can put in a 50, 60 million pound bid for him, I don't see why we wouldn't be able to get him. I think he would love to join this club right now, and he'd certainly be a guaranteed starter in our club, which he isn't getting at Man United right now. But moving on to the final topic of the night, we're going to talk about the Everton game tomorrow. We go to Goodison Park to play our fourth game in 12 days, I believe. It's been quite a hectic schedule for us lately, but we aren't showing any signs of slowing down, it has to be said. I expect some changes to be made again tomorrow. I believe Willock is back. As Dan rightly said before, he should come straight into the team. Shelby and Joe Linton face a late fitness test, so it's unsure whether or not they will start. But Eddie Howe has played these man games, hasn't he, this season already with ASM. But other than that, no new injury concerns to report off. I think it's fair to say this is one of the biggest games in Everton's recent history. I think Jamie Carragher said that on Monday Night Football. They lose this, it could be their season over. I think we've got a slide to pull up with their next or remaining fixtures after the Newcastle game. I mean, there's some really tough games in there. really tough. And we did talk about the relegation candidates on last week's show, and I said I think they go down this season. Nothing's changed for me since then. We're beaten again by Wolves at the weekend in a terrible performance, very lacklustre, and I think we beat them tomorrow night. Paul, I'm going to come to you first, mate. Well, firstly, you did say on last week's show you didn't think we were safe yet. Has your opinion changed since then? And how do you see this one going tomorrow night?
I think we're safe. I think we need one more win. Down Ratings 2. I think we need one more win, and I think that's coming tomorrow night first and foremost. From Everton's perspective, I think they're in all sorts of trouble. I didn't look when I said last week I thought Leeds were going down and Everton might save themselves. I didn't look at the fixture list. They're screwed. If they don't get anything out of us tomorrow night, which is a win really that they need, there's no more wins for them in the fixtures that are shown there. I know they've got some rearranged games to come. They make no bones about it. They'll be up for this tomorrow night. I was reading on Twitter earlier, they're getting some flags out and they're going to play some booming music on the way out to try and intimidate us. I mean, I can't imagine 6'7" Dan Burn's going to be particularly intimidated by Z cars, you know what I mean? But
Dan Burn's bigger than the flag.
Their adrenaline can work both ways, can't it? They can come out fired up and pumping. We can stick one on the net in 5 minutes and the atmosphere goes flat and the game dies and we win this game. Calvert-Lewin was out at the weekend again. He's in and out, isn't he? Christ, he's his injury.
I think he was at court. Did he really been at court? He had like a speeding fine, I think.
Speeding,
I think it was, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Apparently they've had more.
So we should be back tomorrow, I think.
They've had more people in court than they've had wins since September or something. I read, but that's for another day.
Brilliant.
What was your question? Will we win tomorrow night?
Do you think we'll win?
We'll go back to 4 at the back. Absolutely, Will could come in. I think he probably will bring saint-maximin in for Murphy and Fraser in for Almiron. I suspect it's the last game before they go off to Dubai, isn't it, and have a bit of winter sun again, which worked magic when they went to Saudi. So I think they'll go all out for it. I think we'll win. Tiny Arms does not like playing against us in goal. There's always a Rick or two with him. He's brilliant for England. He's shit for Everton, right?
That is about as true as it gets. But to be fair, Jordan Pickford is terrible for Everton, but brilliant for England. And to be fair, that's the way I'd want it to be as well.
Same with Harry Maguire. There's a few of them out there right now, isn't there?
John Stone's not a good Man City, but really good for it.
Possibly. Yeah.
So do we win tomorrow night? Yeah, I think we win. Let's go for a 3-1 again, like we had in the home game. Boom. Chris Wood, saint-maximin, Dan Burn.
Love it, Paul. So I know you're Super Brew predictor tomorrow night, mate. Cheers for that.
Is that what I went? I think I went 2-1 to us. I can't
remember. Anyway, we've got some good comments coming here. One from JB, excited for tomorrow, but it's going to be a battle. Fully agree. Chris is saying Everton reek of Nufc 2016. Too many talented individuals who can't play as a team. 3 points for Eddie Howe's marks. Absolutely, fully agree with that. I still think they will go down. Jack Sutton says win at Everton and we stay up. Yeah, that's another good point again. JB, fingers crossed. Chris, another one from Chris. Calvert-Lewin is shite and he dresses like a schoolgirl. Well, yeah, I mean, I can't argue with that one either, Chris. But Dan, I'm going to come to you, mate. How about you? Do we win this one tomorrow? How do you see it going?
I think we do win this one tomorrow. I think it's sort of a similar one to Southampton, except Everton are actually worse. And if we can go to Southampton and get a result there, having gone behind as well, I know they were not very good against Aston Villa at the weekend before we played them, but Southampton are a better side at the moment than Everton, who had a really good season. Yes, Everton will be up for it, as you say, James, but at the minute, they just can't put a performance in. Frank Lampard's not, I mean, he had that, one good win against, was it Brentford, I think? But apart from that, he's not had that new manager bounce. Obviously they've brought in the new players, they've brought in Van der Beek, they've brought in Dele Alli, and they've just not done anything. And the players they already had have not been very good either. And
touch wood, yet.
Well, where is
two new fullbacks they brought in as well? Also, has been really poor.
Do you see that video when Chris Wood was after the Southampton game? He just said off touch when he just touched him.
Yeah, that was great, wasn't it? But that was when he was interviewed by Nufc TV, I think. Yeah, that was excellent. But
no, I do see the win, James. Yeah, I do. I think whether it'll be as comfortable as 3-1, I'm not so sure. I'm tempted to go with another 2-1, just as we did against Southampton. Even if we go behind, I don't think I think we'll stay calm. I think we won't panic, and I think we'll work our way back into the game as we did against Southampton. In terms of goal scorers, I'd love Dan Burn to get one against Jordan Pickford. That would make my week. But yeah, I think Everton, and I think you're right. If Everton don't win this with that fixture list that they've got left, yes, there are some other games they need to put in there, but my God, they're in trouble.
Definitely, mate. Definitely. Good comment from Mike coming in there. Key is to get the first goal and keep their crowd quiet. Absolutely, fully agree. And I do think we will get the first goal. Chris Curry 2-1 to NUFC for me, lads. Yeah, that's good. Good prediction there, Chris. I think a lot of fans are going with that one. Mark, I'll come to you finally, mate. What's your thoughts? How do you see this one going tomorrow?
I've got to agree with Mike there. Get a first goal, and Goodison turns on the side. They've shown small bits of improvement at times, and then they've looked dreadful at others. Those little rays of sunshine that they had with Frank coming in, they just don't look like they've got the bottle for the job. And I think Chris has probably got it right. I think 2-1 is probably the result that will come. If Newcastle concede, I think had this come 12 weeks ago, you look at a different story. But like I touched on earlier, the resilience now in that side is that there is no panic, even when they go a goal down. They know they've got the quality in that to get back into the game and get a result. So yeah, I'd go 2-1 to Newcastle as well tomorrow.
You're on mute.
James, you're on mute.
Sorry about that. Yeah, I'm just saying, Jack saying, yeah, it was going so well until then, wasn't it? Anyway, yeah, I think Jack's saying Dan Burn to clatter Dele Alli, Newcastle 3, Everton 1. Yeah, I think we win this one 2-0. I think we're by far the better team right now. They can't buy a win at the moment, and we will be really fired up after that Chelsea defeat. I think we will want to avenge that one. And I fancy Chris Wood to add to his tally and Joe Willett as well. So yeah, I think it'll be a really good game. I think it's the only game on tomorrow night. So, everyone will be tuning into that. I think a lot of fans will be interested to see, neutral fans, that is, how well Everton do, because there is a real big chance they are going to go down this season. But yeah, I think I think that just about does it for this week's show. We'll finish up there. Thanks everyone for joining us on another Evermore. We do appreciate all the views and all the comments. Again, if you haven't already, please like and please subscribe to this channel. It really does help us out a great deal. Many thanks to Mark, Dan and Paul. Hopefully Chris will be back on next week's show. And we look forward to seeing you all again next Wednesday night at the usual time of 6:30. See you guys. Thanks again. Take care. Catch you soon.
See ya.